We're going to look today at how to make a little flax kete, a little bit like this. This one here is dyed, but the one we're going to make is going to be undyed, and the one we're going to make is a little bit bigger than this, but it's going to be a similar style. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 16 strips of pre-prepared flax, and we're going to lie them with the shiny side up, and we're going to top and tail the strips. So we've got the tip end, and then the butt end, and then the tip end, and then the butt end, and so on, like this. And we're going to lay 8 strips side by side, like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to take the other 8. We're going to find out approximately where the halfway point is, which is around about there. And we're going to weave the other 8 through. I'm going to take it a bit below, the first one a bit below the halfway point, and then we're going to add them in above that. So we're going to have approximately 4 either side of the halfway mark. And these are also shiny side up, the right side up, and they're also top and tailed. So we've got the butt there, and then the tip there, and then this one's going to have the butt going in first. And then the next one will have the tip going in first. And so on until we've got 8 woven in this way. And then pull them in as tight as you can. If you start in the centre, you can kind of wriggle them in together like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we'll put pegs on the corners. Just holds it together, and then we're going to turn it over so that now we've got the dull side up, and this is going to be the inside of the kete. So now we're looking inside, so we're going to have the dull side on the inside and the shiny side on the outside. And now we're going to make the 2 corners. So the 2 corners are going to be diagonally opposite each other. So at this corner we're going to take this strip that comes from underneath, and we're going to fold that across like that. And then we're going to take this one on the other side, fold that across, then back to the first side, and then the other side. And now that we've got 2 here, we can begin weaving. So this one has gone over first, so this one is going to go under first and then over, and then back to this side. This one's gone over first, so this one will go under and over. And back to the other side. This one has gone over first, this one has gone under first, so this one is also going to go over first and under and over. And back to this side, over, under, over. And one more from either side. This is going to go under, over, under, over. And this one also under, over, under, over. So now we've got 4, 1, 2, 3, whoops, I made a mistake. Pull that one out, that was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've woven halfway across. Now pull them to tighten it up a little bit. And then we're going to turn it round, and it looks a bit like the shape of a fish with the fins coming out behind. And going to spin it right round, and we're going to do the same thing on the diagonally opposite corner. So again, we're going to start with the one that comes from underneath. We're not going to start with this one, because if we folded that one across, obviously we would be undoing the weaving, so that wouldn't work. So instead we're going to start with this one that comes from underneath, pull the weaving up nice and tight, and just fold that across. And then from this side, and then continue weaving one from each side. When you get to here, that you've got two there, now you're going to start weaving over and under, and here, under, over, and then over, under, over. Always weaving over one and under one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then our fourth one here. Push that one out of the way, that comes from the other side, so don't get mixed up with that one. Take this one from the bottom and weave that under, over, and again pull that a bit to tighten it up. Okay, so now we've got two fish swimming away from each other. Just sometimes that idea helps you to remember the idea of the shape of the fish, kind of helps you to remember the idea of how to make the corners. Then we're going to put a clothes peg on here, and we're going to put another one on here, just so that when we open the kete up, the weaving won't come apart. So now we're going to put fingers inside to open the kete out that way, and then with your thumbs and your other fingers roll it over like that. And there it is. And now you'll see that where the pegs are, the weaving has come up high, and then it drops down, and then it's up high, and it drops down, and so on. What we're going to do now is bring the weaving up to the same height the whole way around before we finish off the top edge. So we'll take that peg off. We'll start at the left hand side and weave from left to right, starting with the first one that hasn't been woven in yet. So we'll take this one here, and we'll weave it over and under, weaving over one, under one. And then the next one, you can weave that up to there, and then the next one, just working your way along from left to right. And then the next one, and then you see the next one's a long way down, so we need to reach in to get that and weave it up to the same height. And once you've come right across like that, you can turn it and hold it. I usually hold it with my left hand because I'm right-handed, use my right hand to do the fiddly bits. Just pull those through to tighten them a wee bit. And then turn the weaving, but keep your same hand on it, and pull the ones that go the other way. And then you can see too that as I've woven across here, I've woven them all up to the same height. So we've created an ara, a line of weaving across the top. Oops, like that. I like to make my ara with all the left hand ones sitting on top, all the cinstrals, the pieces that point to the left, sitting on top, and all the dextrals, the pieces that point to the right, sitting underneath. And then we've got a line, an ara of weaving around the top that's all at the same height. So we'll put a peg in that, and then we'll go around the end, coming to that same height to here, so the next one will come, whoops, we'll weave. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so the next one, we'll weave up around that end to the same height, and then the next one. And we'll tighten that up, put a peg on the end, and continue around the other side. Again, just working from left to right, picking the next strip up and weaving it in. And then again, hold your strips all together and just pull them through to tighten them up. And the other way. Put a peg on there so it doesn't come undone, and just finish off that end. Okay, and there is the body of your little kete. Sometimes this is called a magic kete because it's kind of simple to make, and when you're opening it up, it's kind of seems a bit magical. So there it is. And what we're going to do now is just finish off that top edge. So we'll take the peg out there, and to finish, the simplest way to finish the top edge is just to take these strips that point to the left, fold them back over onto themselves and thread them down like that. Crease it out. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Scissors. It's a little bit easier to do this job if you cut the ends off onto to a sharp angle. It's a little bit easier to thread them in if they're cut onto an angle and not straight. So fold it over and then, oops, I want to cut that one. Thread it, so you're not going to thread it into here because that would be undoing it. You're just going to thread it into the next one down there. And it's easiest if you work your way around doing all the ones that go the same direction like that first, and then we'll deal with these other ones separately afterwards. Oops.
How long you've been doing weaving for, Maureen?
I started weaving in the year 2000, so that's about 20 plus years now, so I guess it's a while. Okay, now the last one there. So now you can see that we've woven all the ones that were pointing up to the left, which are traditionally called cinstrals, have all been folded down and woven in. And then now we're going to go back around, and all these ones that point up to the right, the dextrals, we're going to weave those, sorry, we're going to fold those over and we're going to thread those in too. So that folds back over there and it threads into the one that has already been folded and threaded in, and we're going to work from left to right. And just a good idea to just pull that up and tighten it a bit as you go. And again, it can be a little bit easier to thread them in if you've trimmed them off to a pointed tip. It's just a wee bit easier to start them in. Oh, and I guess I should just clarify with this too. Instead of weaving them in behind there, I'm weaving them in between. So just under the one that's already been folded over, between in there, like that. It seems to get a nicer, tighter finish on the top if you do that. Okay, all right, and that's all of those done. Then what I would normally do is go through and cut off all the fiddly bits, fluffy bits there.
That's beautiful.
And then we'll go through and we'll cut off the underneath ones. You can see that the ones that are effectively that are underneath, they have now been woven under two effectively, so it's pretty safe to cut those off because they're not likely to come undone. So we'll cut those off and then we'll probably fringe the other ones. And then we'll take the top ones. These ones have only gone under one. We will just trim those off and then fringe them. Whoops, and I've missed two here that I was supposed to cut off. And we'll just use these dog combs now just to comb those out for a bit of decoration.
What if you don't have a dog comb? Can you use something else?
Dog comb really makes it easier. If you can get yourself to the $2 shop and buy a dog comb, then you make your life easier. These are actually, these are combs that I bought online, Spratz brand. They're a bit more expensive, but they're really nice because they I like the size of the width between the teeth, and they're just really good quality. So if you want to get really fancy, you could get online and find yourself some Spratz combs. Otherwise, $2 shop would be the other option. Nice and simple, but not quite as good a quality. All right.
That's beautiful.
there it is. There's your little kete. So if you wanted to make this kete taller, you would just, you continue weaving higher before you finish the top edge off. If you wanted to make it wider, you would use more strips. So instead of using 16 strips, instead of having 8 strips either way, you might want to do, say, 10 strips either way and do 20 strips altogether. Or you might want to do 11 strips either way and do 22 strips. But effectively, the more strips that you put in at the beginning, either way, the wider it's going to be, or the less strips you put in, the narrower it's going to be. So this little one that we looked at the beginning, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this was 5 each way at the beginning, so a total of 10. So you can see that's quite a bit narrower. Whereas this one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 each way, so 16. So quite a big difference in size. The other way that you can affect the size is to make your strips narrower. So these strips were 13 millimeters wide. If you made your strips narrower, then your overall weaving would be quite a lot smaller, even if you use the same number of strips. So there you go. Happy weaving.